So, the previous sloka is Saha Kashta, Saha Paragati, that is the highest Atman. But then the question is, how to know that? How to realize that? Is it not? Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudha atma na prakashate. 12 number. Drishyate tu agrya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibhihi. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu. It is there everywhere. In all beings. का अंदर भी है, बाहर भी है, सर्वत्र है. Is no, because there is nothing apart from the Atma. So it is not that it is not anywhere or it is not. It is everywhere. Gudha, hidden. सबको अंदर है लेकिन छुपा है. Is there अंदर. न प्रकाशते. It is not seen normally. It is not visible. See, because no, all our idea, all our experiences from the senses only. आँख छोड़ के कुछ देखना हम लोग का क्या कल्पना कर सकते हैं? Can we imagine of seeing anything without the eyes? So naturally, we say that we don't see the Atman, we don't see. But it is there everywhere. Everywhere it is there. And every moment of our life, in some way or other, we constantly assert the Atman. I am this, I am going there, I am getting this, I am buying this, I am selling this. This person is my so and so. So constantly, in an unknowingly we keep on saying it, yet also we don't know. There is always a constant doubt. What it is? ये क्या है? अलग है क्या? कुछ है क्या? उसमें क्या है? There is no asandigdha knowledge, they say. Without any doubt, beyond doubt, asandigdha. Na aparyaya. Paryaya means, I think, wrong identification, wrong manifestation. I am the karta, I am the bhokta. I am the enjoyer, I am the doer. Really, we are not the doer. Who is that? The Atman has nothing to do with doing or enjoying or anything. But constantly identifying ourselves with the body and the mind, we constantly think that we are the doer, we are the enjoyer. There is no end to that imagination. So constantly it is happening. So, Gudha Atma, it is there. It is very subtle. But because because of the Atman only everything is happening. All action, the man, buddhi, chitta. Atma, see, by nature it is ever luminous, of the nature of Chaitanya, of the nature of consciousness. The same consciousness, when it is reflected in the mind, buddhi, etc., which is called the reflected consciousness, because of that, the buddhi functions, the mind functions, everything functions because of that. You know, Chaitanya Abhas kate. It's like trace or something. It's not that full blown that form. So every moment, although we constantly assert, constantly speak of it in all our speech, every day, every moment, we keep on saying. So no one can say, I don't know the Atman. सब जानते हैं, लेकिन न जानते नहीं भी है. We know and yet we don't know also. Because why we know? Because in all our actions, in all our participation, every moment of our life, we constantly say, I am this, I am that, this is mine. So that sense is already there. So if you ask little closely, one can understand also. Yes, it is different from whatever is seen, whatever is experienced. What is अनात्मन? अनात्मन से आत्मन अलग है. जब भी आप किसी को देखते हैं, किसी को अनुभव करते हैं, वो तो दूर हो गया. That which is experiencing, that is the Atman. That is experienced, that is anatman. So that is constantly but at the same time, why it is really not seen? Because it is not without doubt. It's not the asandigdha knowledge भर नहीं है. So books में है, में है, you read, you hear, you speak, everything. So, then what is all this? What we hear, we're reading so much of Kathopnishad, we have understood everything, all that. Why it is not do? Because if we really know the Atman ultimately, two things are bound to happen. One is agyan dur ho jayega. There won't be any ignorance and there won't be any dukkha. Shokam tarati atmavid. So, after reading Kathopnishad, after doing all that, when you go back something happens, immediately we get drowned in dukkha. That means you have not got it. यहाँ से जाके कुछ घटे इतना दुख में एकदम निमज्जित हो जाती हैं, डूब जाते हैं. That means you have not got it. So whatever you hear from books, etc., 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 they keep on giving you some idea and this and that, but yet they are really not that at all. But then, what is the way? Is it never seen? It is never felt? It is never experienced? Is it so? No. Some people, some experience. I think it will come that sloka also. Kaschit dhiraha. Here they are saying sukshma darshibihi. Those are that discerning people. Drishyate tu agraya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshi. People with discerning intellect, with a deep penetration, they can experience, they can. So, all these things we need to discuss a little elaborately. So, what is normally, what happens, normally what is our experience? How do we see? They always take the famous example of Ghata. So they always say, if there is no Ghata, there is no Advaita. The whole Advaita is depending upon Ghata. Everything for that, the pot is the biggest example they give. Supposing, how do you, when you see the Ghata, what happens? The mind, etc., the intellect that grasps it, but it is revealed by the reflected Chaitanya that falls on it. Otherwise you will not experience it. Ghat you perceive, but the real revelation happens through the falling of the Chaitanya on that. But when you see the Atman, through buddhi you can go to certain level. At that point, it is self-revealed. Because there is no need for any Chaitanya to fall in, because that is Chaitanya Swarup. उसमें कोई बाहर से कोई चैतन्य आके वहाँ उसके प्रकाशमान करें, ऐसी कोई जरूरत ही नहीं. There won't be any need to make it prakashman by bringing any external chaitanya, because that is by nature it is a chaitanya. But that's what is the difference between our seeing any object like Ghata, etc., and also they're seeing Atman? What is the difference? When you see Ghata, the perception takes place through Indriyas, but then the revelation takes place through the Chaitanya, the reflected Chaitanya, which is Abhasa Chaitanya, which comes from the Atman itself. Otherwise it will not be revealed. But when you have experience or see, what do you mean by seeing Atman? You through the buddhi, you take the process of seeing, but then at that time, the revelation happens because of its very nature, it is Chaitanya Swarup. There is no need for any external light or consciousness to fall upon it. So, now here they say, how this process of seeing, etc., what it happens normally. Supposing, when the eye see an object, say a Ghata, then in the mind, there is one Ghatakara Akar. There is that is called a kind of it's not exactly like physical drawing or anything. It is not that you draw a Ghata in the mind. There is a vritti that is of the Ghata. The Ghatakar vritti comes in the mind, and then through that, finally, in that, when the Chaitanya is focused, that is how the revelation happens. So it is not that there is nothing gross in that. Whenever any object is seen, the mind picks all those elements from that, and then in the mind, the Ghatakara vritti takes place, and that leads to the ultimate perception or the vision of that. So, in the same way, if you think of this in the case of Chaitanya, there is no need for that any abhasa Chaitanya there. The actual Chaitanya itself can happen. But then, what happens when the buddhi pursues it to that level, it itself becomes completely merged there. So there is no, just as when we see the ghata, there is a duality. You are perceiving the ghata as a separate thing. But when the individual, that sukshma buddhi, when it goes that far, it completely, at that point of revelation, it gets completely merged there. There is no separate entity. Then only the Swayam Prakashit jo Atma, wahi वहाँ रहेगा. Here also the Dishyate to Agriya Buddhiya Sukshmya Sushma Drashibhigi, that happens. But here what happens is, when it goes that far, then when that revelation happens, the buddhi also kind of merges there, and there's only that revelation. Because it is so overwhelmed by the Chaitanya of that Atman, only that Atman alone abides, that alone shines. So that is. And then see the Agriya Buddhya. What is it? Agriya Buddhya. And also the Sukshmaya. What is the Sukshma Buddhi? And also the Agriya Buddhi. Agriya Buddhi, Maharaj just also explained very beautifully, Buddhishanji. He says, see, Buddhi, how do you determine the Buddhi? They say, Kurdhar Buddhi, sharp as an instrument. कोई इंस्ट्रूमेंट के साथ के कंपेयर करते हैं. It's so sharpened like that. So बुद्धि cannot, there is no division in बुद्धि, उसको कोई भाग कुछ नहीं है. But in what happens here, when it completely, totally is able to focus itself on something, then it becomes, it's revealed much better. So, the nature of buddhi, how sharp it is, or what is how kitna agriya buddhi kah sakte hain, it depends upon the way it is all revealed. See, in fact, that's why Maharaj says, all our indriyas are named based upon their function. जो दर्शन करता है उसका हम लोग ऐसे ही नाम दिया. जो that which जो कान इंद्रिय किया है वो it is hearing. So all indriyas are named after their function. Similarly, buddhi also जानते हैं, it knows, so it is named as buddhi, knower. So similarly, in this case, what happens that it focuses itself completely. So more and more it can completely focus. That is how it becomes ekagra, completely focused, sharpened, and that is how it's called agriya buddhi. And also, see, in the world also we see so many people, so many bright people, maybe brilliant people. But then that doesn't mean that intelligence is same as this intelligence. What is the difference? See, because in the and also this sukshma, sharp. What is that sukshma buddhi? Sharp, penetrating intellect. So you see, this sharpness, a person is people shine in so many fields, in science, maths, this, that. First of all, a doctor may not be interested in engineering. Engineer may not be interested in a particular way it can. So similarly, this also requires आपकी वही पीछे ही चाहिए तब आप कर पाएंगे. Apart from that also, you see, in the world one may be very bright, brilliant, may do many things, but yet it may not have anything to do with this kind of an intelligence. Why? Because this intelligence is, sukshma here Maharaj says, actually shuddhata. The more and more the buddhi is pure, and more it is free from raga and dvesha. These are the things that are really the determining factors, not its capacity to do great things, engineering and invention and industry and making money, and these are all not important at all. So one cannot say that the person who has done so well there and there, can he be? No, it has got nothing to do with it. More, see, if a person can be full of raga and dvesha and yet become maybe a great scientist, maybe a great industrialist, that has got nothing to do with it. But here, if So the only way to develop this kind of sukshma buddhi and this and that is to work on that. How to get rid of raga and dvesha, how to become pure, how to create a pure buddhi. Then only they'll be able to experience this kind of a subtler than this anoraniya and mahatoma. It's not, otherwise not possible. So again, the question, that means, is it really finally grasped by the buddhi? Because again, this Shastra say, Eto vacho nivattanti aprapya manasa, it's beyond mind. And then also, avang manasa gocharam, manasa namanute, all these statements you get from Upanishad, how is it possible? That is how it is. This buddhi is not normally what you use as, in all those things, what is referred is what is normally we use in the existential world. All our pursuits, all our efforts, all our abilities, all that. Here, actually, the buddhi, when it becomes so pure, at that stage, it loses its other qualities of binding qualities, and probably it becomes as close to that. Then, it is really, it is capable of revealing, it's capable of realizing that highest truth also.
Meda is
Meda, Dhi, that's what they call in Gayatri, Dhiyo Yona Prachodya, Dhi, the higher intelligence. That is the opening towards any higher intuition, higher spiritual experience is all that. Unless the Dhi is awakened, so with this normal level, see, that's why you may be the most intelligent person, maybe the class topper, IIT first, joint entrance first, number one CEO, maybe Sundar Pichai, but that has got nothing to do with this buddhi. This awakens to intense sadhana, to that intense focus, buddhi completely focused on such thing, then it is possible to go in that and then progress further. Otherwise, it's not possible. See, that's what, if the mind is little that way, how it is different from the normal buddhi and this, sukshma also, no? Sukshma is also another point. What is this sukshma that is talking about? See, Ramakrishna used to participate in many things. बहुत सारे चीज़ सर्कस भी देखने के लिए गया, ये भी गया. तो कोई डॉक्टर आके उनके बोला, some doctor said, महाशय, इसके माध्यम में, माइक्रोस्कोप के माध्यम में जो चीज़ साधारण नहीं देख पाते हैं, वो देखना संभव है. That is सूक्ष्म. He was interested. लेके आओ. वो बहुत ही मेहनत करके लेके आया था. He brought. He says, my mind, it has gone to such heights, I am not able to bring it down to see this. So that is that sukshma, and this is sukshma in the sthula sense. So sthula sukshma and sukshma in a spiritual sense, how they are totally different, we must remember. So even the microscope, that cannot microscope, there are even subtler things than that, electrons, protons, not even revealed in any ordinary microscope, etc. They are known only by their functions and all that. This sukshma is different from what the sukshma that is talked about here. This is that sukshma. Thakur says, my mind has gone to that level, I am unable to bring it down to see this, what you have brought. So how these sukshma are totally different at the sthula level and at the level of the Atman. So this difference you have to really understand. Then only you will be able to get this idea, what he is trying to say. So, although normally the mind is supposed to be not capable of doing all that, through sadhana, by focus, by trying and all that, can go certainly up to that level. And then, finally when it happens, it is something different. Not only that, you see, Sukshma Darshibihi, these are all the words that are used because there are no better words. There's nothing like seeing. What is seeing in Atman? Atman is not an object to be seen. That's what else can you use? These are the words that are available to us. यहाँ कोई दर्शन करने का कोई चीज़ ही नहीं है. It becomes, when the buddhi becomes so pure and so sukshma, it simply becomes one at that time. There is no, then all the distinctions are lost. Only the Atman, Swayam Prakash, Atman, वही वहाँ रहता है. There is no other अनुभूति or there is no other experience. So till then, all this keep going, all this keep going, all this keep going. So, क्योंकि आपका नियति प्रकृति की वजह से, भगवान की वजह से जो मिला उसे सब चीज आपकी यह अच्छी यंत्र है. Your mind and buddhi, you have got nothing better than that. This is the best instrument. So if you want to start, you have to start from here only. Otherwise you have to say, no, it's not possible. Man se sambhav nahi hai. Man khao piyo, masti karo. That will be the result. What is all this Bhagwan se bakwas hai, don't know, ise kon dekha hai, bolo, koi dekha hai. So that will be the result. But then if you think, no, that's right, once it strikes you, इसलिए पहले उन्होंने बोला ये आत्मानुभूतिरम विद्धि धीरे 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 समझाया. Once you understand that, then when you take it up very seriously, all that sadhana that you do, Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan, all these practices, they are all at the level of the Indriyas only. The meditation that we do is at the level of Indriyas, but you have to go beyond the Indriyas. No, I always say that, when people launch the rocket goes. At certain speed, it goes beyond the Earth's gravitational force. तब तक वो वापस आ जाते हैं. When it crosses that, it can't come back. Similarly, when you keep on defining the mind and the buddhi, etc., करते, इसलिए very rare. Manusyanam sahasreshu yashitkati siddhi. After that, when such people, they do it, and they go refine to such a level, and finally, just like rocket taking off and going beyond the gravitation, it goes beyond, and there finally, what is the darshan? It is a revelation. Swayam Prakash. वही स्वयं प्रकाश आत्मा की वहाँ वही रहता है और कुछ नहीं. And also there is no अनुभव. It's not the experience relationship. दृष्टा दृश्य वही रिलेशनशिप ही नहीं है. लेकिन आप कौन भाषा में बोलेंगे? आपको तो कुछ भाषा तो यूज़ करना ही पड़ता है. इसलिए मैंने सूक्ष्म दर्शी भी की. So they say they see, but it is not that kind of seeing which we normally understand. क्यों? हम सबको जो भी अनुभव है, जो भी हम लोग बता रहे हैं, whatever you speak only from the point of view of senses. So only the same terminologies we use because we don't have any other words to use. So we are using it. So obviously, but what really happens is that supreme state where it goes beyond all that and then it completely merges in that supreme self. That's what, in a small way in the next sloka, he just gives some hint. Yat ched vang manasi prajñas tat yat ched jnana atmani mahati niyat ched tat yat ched shanta atmani. Organs go back. कैसे सबको धीरे 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 आपका नियंत्रण में लेना है. How one has to merge. See, organs go back into the mind into the intellect into the cosmic intelligence, and then into the pure self. So that means, unless you really practice this, Shama, Dhamma, Upati, सबके माध्यम में, unless you keep on understanding and going back, and taking it that way, then it is not possible to really realize that. That's why, very few are prepared for that. Very few can do that. Then comes a very famous sloka which Swamiji was very fond of, and of course he had made his own translation. Uttishtata jagrata prapyavaran nibodhata shurasya dhara vishita duratya durgam patastat kavayo vadanti. Uttishtata jagrata. O Manush, utho, jago. Yeah, it is not getting awakening from sleep. Here जागो जो मोह से, जो इंद्रिय जनित मोह में आप डूबे हुए, उससे आप जागो. पहले उठो means determine, make up your mind, and then you awake from that moha where you are immersed. प्राप्य वरान निबोधत. ऐसे कोई व्यक्ति जो जानते हैं, they realize soul, learn from him about that. क्योंकि because otherwise, yes, we see earlier, अंधे नेवे नियमानाय तांदा, like one blind leading the other, दोनों अंधकूपे पतंती, they fall into the ditch. So unless it is learned from a person who has that self-knowledge, otherwise it isn't. They have such capacity, they can mold your mind, arrest your mind. I read somewhere, no, some person, no, he was, I think he was Virajanji's disciple, but he was having terrible problems in the house. His wife was totally against, and he was so afraid. So Maharaj had come, I think, to some ashrama. He had come to see his guru. Somehow he has extricated himself and came. And he really said that, he really wept and said, this is my condition. So Maharaj said that, I will go to your house. He was shocked. अरे मेरे आना ही इतना मुश्किल है, फिर महाराज जब बोल रहे हैं जा रहे हैं, even my coming is so difficult. He says he will go. Maharaj said finished. So then naturally from the ashrama they are going. And he entered. Simply that lady was standing quite at a distance. Maharaj simply saw her once, that's all. Simply she came and fell at his feet and इतना बड़ी भक्त हो गए, completely transformed. See, that is why I am saying, this kind of thing, when some person is when they are realized, when you hear from them, those words will mean so much. Otherwise, it's all, see, kitab to jo bhi leke padh sakte hain. But when that's why in our in Hindu tradition, the Guru Shishya Parampara, only they will take select disciples, not in large numbers, and will constantly guide them, constantly tell them, constantly make them understand. And then only it's possible. Only when you hear from people of such extraordinary thing. Yeah. But then, आपको तो half a loaf is better than no bread. कुछ भी नहीं है तो कुछ भी सुनो, सत्संग करो, एक साथ करो, फिर करते रहो. Then somehow it has to. Because otherwise, if you wait for ब्रह्मा के पुरुष, ये जन्म में तो नहीं होगा, कितना जन्म में होगा भी मालूम नहीं है. So we don't know. And also, why would a ब्रह्मा के पुरुष select us? देखे तो लात मारे फेंक देंगे. अरे जाओ तुम्हारे 10 जन्म की बाद आओ. Is it not? Why would a realized soul take you as disciple? He will also see, just as you are seeing a guru. The guru will see you, whether you are a fit person. So, but then, why he says, it is only from such, if you hear, immediate. So they say even in sannyasa, when they hear that final, that vows, immediately, if you are a fit person, pravrajed, simply goes like a rhinoceros into the forest. Abhi वापस मोड़ के नहीं दिखते. And traditional is saying that is the highest aspect of sannyasi, not to have a nice, good dress, good eating and all that. No. When you hear that highest vows, वो इतना प्रस्तुत रहते हैं, तैयार रहते हैं, immediately like a spark, it catches and pravrajet, he goes away, never to come back like. It is such a deep impact. So he says, that is what. Then he says, what are the difficulty? Churasya dhara nishita duratya durgam patastat kavayo vadanti. So the great people, kavis, people of knowledge, they say, scholars, as hard as walking on a razor's sharp edge. आप क्या शूर के ऊपर कभी पैदल में चलने के प्रयास किया? पूरा तो एकदम टुकड़ा टुकड़ा हो जाएगा काट के. So what does it mean? That means it is so difficult and fraught with so much of dangers and difficulties. क्योंकि पहले ही आपका the moment you really turn to spiritual life, पहले चीज़ देखेंगे आपकी तो सांसारिक जीवन तो बिल्कुल बर्बाद हो रहा है. You can more or less like a thumb rule you can understand. The more you turn very seriously to spiritual life, more your worldly life will become उलट पलट हो ही जाएगा. Because have you ever seen any great Mahapurush having a wonderful family and property and goods and everything, and is also Brahmagya? I have not heard of. So the first thing is, there will be insurmountable difficulties, problems, dukkha, suffering. So that's why you say, only if you have a dhira, if you are a person that indomitable will, courage, strength, जो भी है छोड़ूंगा नहीं. मैं एक बार निर्णय लिया तो लिया. I have taken. Swamiji says, because you do not get Rama, will you take Kama? Ram नहीं तो काम लेंगे क्या? So that kind of a tremendous will and the ability to strive, struggle. So Churasya Dhara Nishita Duratya, very difficult. Durgam Pathastati, very difficult to cross. In the sense that what is the sharpness or edge is about? They will hit you from all sides. The moment you turn to, because see, it is like, so many things are clinging to us, so many things we are attached to. Our children, our wife, our property, our husbands, our relatives, our money, our possessions, our these things. How much? Every moment somebody was saying, there was a wonderful person. Every moment you say, Maharaji, aap bol dijiye, I don't like, I want to go, please tell Thakur. But somebody was going to put a small nail. Arre, mera pitaji banaya building. Why are you putting a nail? So, we can say that we want to go, but no one wants to go. Everyone wants to be here only. But to say when there is a difficulty, when there is a leg pain or this pain, that pain, we say, no, yaar, rehne se jana acha hai. So, with 1,001 things clinging to us, that means mercilessly cutting off each of the bondages. Shurasya dhara nishita turatya durgam pathastat kaviyo vadanti means, mercilessly can you cut off one after another all bondages. Otherwise, you see, is it a small thing? See, a boy of 10 years old, he courted death. Going to Yama means what? He was accepting death. Baran kar liya tha mrityu ka, tab na mila uska. Who will do that? So, this path is difficult means it's full of such kind of sorrow, suffering and difficulties, and most importantly, our bandhan. एक एक करके आपका जो आपका संभव है सब कुछ, including the most terrible attachment to the body, can you cut off everything? Can you be merciless? Can you be ruthless? Then you are prepared for that kind of a superior knowledge. Then you are prepared. वही पथ में पथिक होने के लिए आप प्रस्तुत हैं, तैयार है, लायक है. Otherwise, we can listen and then go back and have a nice coffee and then continue with our other work, and that's fine. But then, if spiritual, that's why they say, one great mystic said, it's a journey of the alone to alone. Ye alone or alone, alag hai. Wo alone mean kya? Only that Atman, nothing else. Here, you have to give up everything. Walk alone's path to reach that ultimate oneness where there is nothing else. So it takes it's like that. See, given the everything is यहाँ क्या बोल रही हैं see, if we are the constantly which is talked about in the Shastras is our illusion, our why we are where from कहाँ से जगने के लिए बोल रहे हैं. It's the इंद्रिय मोह क्या है. They gave very good standard examples in the scriptures like the serpent and the snake, the rope and the snake, and इसमें कहते हैं जो आप रस्सी के सर्प समझते हैं. So like that, so many things. Mirage is mistaken for water. So in all our knowledge, if you think deeply, it's all based on wrong understanding, wrong perception, wrong this thing. So you have to get up from all that. In fact, what even we see with open eyes, quite often it is not what it is. We see something, but it is not so. Something else is the reality behind it. So, if you want to really take to spiritual life very seriously, then can you really get rid of all that? Can you be that certain of your pursuit? So that's why, one has to really decide whether I can really go there. So that's why Swami once writes to Mary. He talks about something highest. And it is otherwise, lower the ideal, marry and be happy. See, don't talk of that and live a different life. Once you talk of something very serious, unless you are up to it, आपकी पूरी करने की फुर्सत है, मन है, तैयार है आप, you are ready, you are completely, you have made up your mind. With that kind of preparedness is there, it's okay. Otherwise, our words will go in one direction, our action, most of the people that do what there is sadhu or asadhu or no difference. We'll talk in one way and we'll behave in one way. Lecture देने के लिए भाषा के लिए ठीक है. One can, if you know a little, anyone can give a lecture. But is it related to your life? That's why, I said, unless one has it, it will make no impression. That's why, there were many sadhus. They were not really great speakers also. There was one Swami who used to live many years in France, one Swami Ritajananji. He was not a speaker at all. But he molded so many lives. It was so wonderful, like that. Bhutishanji Maharaj hardly used to give lectures. He was not a big speaker. But those who come to him, simply they will be, because, of course, he was the greatest of our scholars. Even Tapasyanji used to say, see, the greatest scholar is here. He doesn't write books. Maharaj never wrote a book. But, whatever people have taken notes from him are so deep, you cannot imagine. So, but he was a great sadhaka. In initial years, he was in Chirapunji and so many other places. In Uttarakashi, he was Shantatmananda's disciple. So there is in this, it's very clear. Unless you do intense sadhana, unless you take this as very serious, unless you are prepared to pay any price for that, anything, there is no limit. What is the price? Anything you can be asked of. Then only one can go into this. Otherwise, of course, that's why Thakur always says that if you are really bound by body and mind, it's absolutely sajena body. It is unbecoming to talk of Atma Jnana, Brahma Jnana, embedded, completely caught as we are in the idea of body and mind. That's why he says bhakti. Bhakti में क्या है? We can do all that. आप जैसे हैं आप कर सकते हैं. भगवान मेरा इतना ही संभव है, जितना संभव करता हूँ, बाकी आप ही कर लो, मेरा अच्छा यही है. So everything there is a provision. Even if you want to eat rasagulla, you can offer and take as prasad. That window is given to you. So, but everything, anywhere, any path is bhakti or jnana or whatever it is, anything demands, if you have to really make a progress or if you have to really go forward, it requires tremendous practice, tremendous effort, and coupled with the ability, see, one thing is, in the positive way, you can do sadhana. Supposing, like your vichara or Shravan Manididyasan or your japa, meditation, all that. But on the other side, most important also, are you ready to give up those bondages? जो खुद ही सृष्टि किया. Who has created those bondages? We ourselves. दूसरा कोई नहीं है. मैंने ही बनाया. आप खुद ही तोड़ सकते हैं क्या? If you can give up all that, then you can say. Otherwise, some people do sadhana also, but simultaneously they are equally there elsewhere. That will not work. Both should go here. बोलना श्री कृष्ण अभ्यासेन तो वैराग्येन Abhyagyanasthu kaunteya vairagyanasya grihyate. Both abhyasa and vairagya. One thing is intense practice, that's abhyasa. Again and again, repeatedly, fixed time, fixed way, so much, increasing way, and all the various ways. Coupled with vairagya. If one is there, the other is not there, it will not work there. Both have to be there together. Because otherwise, एक दूसरी की परिपूरक है. But if there's only one, the other will come as a bondage. So if you have only abhyasa, then lack of vairagya will come and hurt you. Your abhyasa will not go anywhere. If you have vairagya, but you don't practice, then that will come and stand in the way. That will not help you in the revelation. So if both are there, then it is possible one can really go forward in this life and also learn. And they only are the fit aspirants who only can really take to this life seriously and manage. Then, so he gave. How does it? What is the biggest idea of this jnana? What is self-knowledge? One is that it removes all the wants from you. Atma tripta. आपका कुछ भी जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगा. Once a person is there, does not require anything in this world. Because you see, आपका जो कुछ मिल सकता है ये जगत से ही मिल सकता है. But it is already gone one level higher. जिस स्तर से इस सब के साथ कोई जरूरत ही नहीं है. Supposing someone invents a wonderful kind of a capsule. One capsule, for 1 month you don't require any food. Then will you be thinking of sambar and chutney and rasam and chapati and sabji and all that? Because you're always full. For 1 month there is no need to eat any food. Something like that. When you go to that level, you will not need anything of this world at all. Because it is completely self-fulfilled, self-subservient, totally complete, all full. There's nothing, there's no gap, there's nothing to be filled there. So that is one thing. And then see, that may be at a higher level. At a little lower level, it completely removes all sorrow from you. दुख आपका जीवन में किसी चीज से दुख नहीं बनेगा. Because you know that whatever you say, yes, आज नहीं तो काल जाएगा. मान एक बहुत ही कीमती चीज गिर गया, टूट गया. It's very costly, some Japanese glass or Belgium glass or something fallen. Normally, people weep and wail and they are so much. No, if not today, tomorrow it will go. What is there? Anyway, it is a thing perishable only. So once that is there, nothing, no dukkha, not only this, even death, birth, giving up, coming, going, nothing will, everything you will take in your stride. And then, most importantly says, mittu mukhat pramuchyate. It takes you, away. Totally it frees you from death. See, that is the biggest fear of mankind, no? Agle slogan. 15 hai. So, if there won't be any fear of death. What is the nature of this self? Ashabdam. Koi shabda nahi hai. Asparsham. It cannot be touched. Arupam abhyayam. It is formless. And then it is waterless actually. Tata arasam. It is avyaya means it has no parts. It is not khandit nahi hai. The pura always it is whole. And then arasam, it has no rasa. And then it is nitya. It's always eternal. Agandhavacha, it is undecaying. Anadi anantam. It is beginningless, without end. Mahata param, superior even to the Hiranyagarbha. Here again he takes the word para meaning Hiranyagarbha or the next evolute after Abhyakta or Maya. And param dhruvam, it is superior even to para. Dhruva is constant. Nichayatan, having known that Nichaya, Mrityu mukhat pramuchyate, one can be free from death. So, we saw that he clearly told, sa kashta, sa paragatihi, that is the highest goal, that is the maximum to be attained. Then, naturally, what exactly is that? Self. So, Yama is giving a little more description to Nachiketa. Because, it cannot be, see what it is, it's not possible to describe. Because whatever we see here, the words that are used are ashabdam, asparsham, arupam, agandham. So in all that, whatever is possible through the indriyas only we can describe. How do you describe anything in this world? कोई चीज़ आप कैसे विवरण करते हैं? It is like this to look. It is this smell, this shape, this color, this thing. इसके बारे में कुछ भी नहीं होगा, क्योंकि it is beyond all that. There is no color, no shape, no sound, no touch, nothing, because it is whole. See, आप जब भी किसी के बारे में बात करते हैं, see, there is something when you is maybe if you want to take about this mic is not whole. It's only a small portion. There is something far beyond that. You can distinguish it from yourself, your body, anything else. But that self, it is all encompassing. उसके बाहर कुछ भी नहीं है. वो सबको अंदर है, सबको बाहर है, वो पूरा है, टोटल है, complete है. Then how can you, unless you make it a part, unless you identify something different, unless it is an anatman, you cannot see, you cannot touch, you cannot see, feel, you cannot smell it. Because all that is done are all anatma or apart from atman or secondary other objects. But here is something which is total, all pervading, covering everything. Oh, कैसे इसके बारे में बोले? So obviously there is nothing you cannot. Supposing you are in a sea, in the midst of a sea, जितनी दूर आप देख रहे हैं, only water, 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 nothing. What will you describe? Because you are not able to see anything. आप जितने सौ जितना दूर आपके आँख जा सकते हैं, how far your eyes can go, you see only water, nothing else. What can you describe? Only water, 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 nothing else. So similarly, because there is nothing beyond that, it is difficult to describe. It cannot be described. That's why it says, yato va nivacchante aprapya manasasaha. It cannot be described avang manasa gocharam, because all that you describe, all that you do, all that, they are all within the realm of the senses. इंद्रिय जगत के अंदर जो है, आप उसके बारे में बोल सकते हैं. जो चीज़ अतीन्द्रिय जगत है, which is beyond the indriyas, it cannot be explained, it can be talked about. And then it says, not like anything else we know. So that's why इसके बारे में only in the negative terms you can say. Positively उसके बारे में कुछ बोलना नहीं, because it is nirguna. आप, if you want to describe something, describe any person, any part, should have some guna, good or bad. Oh, he's a horrible person, he's a good person, he's a very kind person, he's a very compassionate person. So कुछ गुण चाहिए. But that which is nirguna, which is beyond all gunas, nirguna means not that it is bad gunas, it's beyond gunas, nirguna, there's no guna there. How will you describe? Cannot describe at all, it's not possible to describe in any way. So, negatively you can say as much as you want. आप जितना भी कल्पना करो कर ही सकते हैं. अष्पदम, अरूपम, अरस, अगंध, anything you want, any whatever, amanas, abuddhi, whatever you want you say. Because negatively, whatever you can imagine, you can keep on saying, all will apply because it is beyond all these distinctions. And then it is superior to Hiranyagarbha also, because Hiranyagarbha is third in the hierarchy, self, Abhyakta or Maya, and then Hiranyagarbha and Mad. Naturally it is much superior. So, because Hiranyagarbha also owes its existence to the self, so it is a cause, and cause is always superior to the effect. So Hiranyagarbha is even inferior to the self. So, and everyone says it is difficult. Why should one aspire for such a knowledge? What is the purpose? The greatest purpose is mrityu mukhat pramuchyate. It frees you from the jaws of death. और उसके बाद मरने की डर नहीं रहेगा. The biggest fear which a person can have is death. क्या होगा? चले जाऊँ तो इस संपत्ति कौन लेगा? क्या होगा? किसके बांटूं? क्या करूं? ये सुंदर सुंदर वहाँ से लेके आया वो है, बर्तन है, गटी है, वही है, इतना इतना अच्छा अच्छा चीज़ बनाया, लेटेस्ट ओनली वी मेड द हाउस, न्यू हाउस अभी बनाया, 10 करोड़ है, nothing, because you can't take anything. everything is, naturally, but why? It's always a fear of death. क्या होगा, क्या होगा, क्या होगा, शरीर जाने में क्या होगा? But it says completely it frees you from the fear of death. आपकी मृत्यु का कोई भय नहीं है. Then says, we are coming to the end of this. Nachiketam upakyanam mrityu proktam sanatanam uktva shrutva cha medavi brahmaloke mahiyate. Now it is the Falashruti is saying, if a thoughtful person keeps hearing and narrating, अब हमेशा मेधावी, then we say मेधावी. This was, Nachiketam Upakyanam Mrityu Proktam. This Upakyana was told by none less than the Yama himself. He himself has talked about it to Nachiketa. Sanatanam. This is the eternal story. Uktva Srotva. Somebody who can talking and hearing. And Medhavi, a bright, brilliant person, a thoughtful person, Brahmaloke. And he can go to the status of Brahmaloka. This much. So, even hearing is such a wonderful thing. Hearing about it, talking about it. Because, the more and more you hear and talk about it, more and more you develop a tendency or liking towards it, then it can become more and more a wonderful instrument. So, this is included to self-knowledge. In Nasiketa Akyayika, this story, what is the importance? The importance to know about this self-knowledge and its benefit. So, but it is not always for everybody. Only those who are discriminating between the right and wrong, who are medhavi, who are really capable, they alone can read, they alone can benefit from it. So, then finally, Imam Paramam Guhyam Shravayet Brahma Samsadi Preta Shraddha Kaleva Tadantantaya Kalpate Kalpata iti. So, he says, who is pure in mind, Shravayet Brahma Samsadi. So, he says, Prayataha, with a pure mind attained through austerities. How does one get a pure mind? By tremendously practicing. By austerity means what? How does the mind become pure? When you practice austerities, normally the mind is allowed to engage in everything. So naturally it picks up wherever kuda, gandha, sab kuch le leta hai. But in austerity, you restrain. आप संयम अभ्यास करते हैं, restrain करते हैं, इधर उधर मन का भटकने नहीं देते हैं. करते करते मन का तपस्या से, austerity से पवित्रता आना संभव है. Then Paramam Guhyam Imam, the supremely secret story, Shravayet, जो बताते हैं, ब्रह्म संसदी नसम्मिल Brahmins, श्राद्ध काले, श्राद्ध के समय जब आप भेंट सब देते हैं, when they give gifts to the departed, this story, this session, Anantyaya Kalpati will bring infinite reward to all concerned. जो बता रहे हैं, जो saying, who explains and who hears, all of them get tremendous benefit. So, again it is repeated, it's a difficult subject. It is said it will bring good. So, self-discipline, the mind becomes pure and clear. So, again, here, actually, probably here largely he has completed the Brahma Vidya to Nachiketa. And thereafter he will tell about other things, the nature of Brahman, and so many other descriptions to emphasize the idea. But here, largely he has given to Nachiketa. Through this, Nachiketa has largely got what he wanted. That's why Falastuti also here is given, that this is the benefit of those who hear this and all that. So now when we will take up the part 2 in the afternoon, now we can ask some questions. Yes.
So Swamiji very well explains about the Vritti. The Brahmakara Vritti, as you said, it shines forth and it doesn't require a Phalabhyakti. It just shines forth. So is there an event that happens in the life of a Jnani, or is it a deep-seated understanding of Brahman that continues to be stabilizing in him?
No, see, it is neither of these. Because normally when we be in my event, We mean something which is happening at the level of the senses. So it's obviously it is not an event. And then the second one, what you said, when it.
Is there a deep-seated understanding?
Yeah, you see, it's not actually, it's also not normally an understanding in the sense we understand understanding. It's a kind of superior awareness that happens at that time, and that elevates the person's completely, his mind and everything.
So then what shines forth? I mean, if it's just a
Shine in the, that's what, that shine, you see, that's what later has come. Natatta suryo bhati nachanda tarakam nema vijito bhati kutoyam agni. That shining is not this shine. See, all that we say will fall short of the truth because we can only express at the sense level. That that is something all consuming, all subsuming, that kind of an experience where such a person feels completely uplifted. Such a person goes beyond the idea of body and mind. Goes a person which is beyond sukha and dukkha, goes beyond sufferings, goes beyond birth and death. All those, see, only from the effect we know what might have been that. Because as it is, it cannot be described. It is beyond description. It cannot be described in words. But what happens? Such a person reaches a state where he is ever in a state of bliss. Again, that bliss, that ananda is not same as ever having any worldly ananda. So whenever you try to explain more, we fall fatter. That's why the highest Gnan is, in Tamil, this is summa, they mean complete silence. Because that is the best way of explaining the truth, is total silence.
So just to paraphrase and understand, it is not the light as we see the sun
Yeah.
coming shining forth. It's not a light. It's not a light, right? It's just overcoming any sense of duality.
Yeah, all that. Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Maharaj, a theoretical question. If I make, so the culprit is senses, if I have to say in one sentence. If I make my senses, my five senses benign, will this be a faster method to understand?
No, that means physically आप करके कुछ नहीं है. कर्मेन्द्रियाणि संयमयास्ते मनसा स्मृतिर्यार्थान् विमूढात्मा मिथ्याचारस्य उच्यते. So one can become blind, one can become deaf, one can cut off nose, nothing will happen.
I don't have all of the senses, so I don't know anything about that.
No, see, your mind will be enjoying 100 times, you will be much worse
The
off.
mind has not seen, right? The mind has not seen.
No, see, when are you, is it at the birth or when you are up? Now at this age, now you are saying 50 years, I am saying.
No, at the birth, day zero.
Day zero, who will do it for such a person? Whose need it is? A baby does not need it. And even then also it will not suffice because उसकी पूर्व जन्म की संस्कार उसके आके मन में करेगा. See, there are many children which are blind from birth, autistic from birth, deaf from birth. Don't they have desires and things like that in their mind? It's only in a very weird form. See, एक आँख वाला बच्चा जो दिखता है, आँख नहीं जन्म से वो भी दिखता है, लेकिन it lives in a totally different form. Do you think that blind people don't see? They see differently, that's all. So the mind, what will you do with the mind? The mind cannot be killed like that. Manonas to nahi hota hai. Manonas is possible only through deep transcendence. When you go to that kind of samadhi, then manonas. There is no vritti in the mind. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. There is a complete cessation of vrittis in the mind. And then the mind is not there at all. It's as good as mind not being there.
मेरा दूसरा पर्सपेक्टिव से बोल सकते हैं कि द्वैत स्टेट से ही मैं अद्वैत की तरफ जा रहा हूँ.
Jarur, everybody, as long when the moment you are born, you are in Dvaita only. Dvaita से ही तो अद्वैत जाएंगे. अद्वैत से कहाँ जाना ही नहीं है. अद्वैत तो है ही अद्वैत. जाना itself means from a lower state. Yes, Narendra.
Maharaj, you mentioned Abhyasa and Vairagya. Abhyasa is in a way very measurable, that I am reading more scriptures, I am understanding more scriptures, I am becoming more serious about it, I am investing more time. So I can measure the progress in Abhyasa. Vairagya, you very rightly said the mind can delude you to believe that, oh yeah, I can give up everything, when the time comes. How do I measure the real progress in Vairagya?
Now that's what you see. As the point is, as you go towards the west, east, the west automatically recedes. So, whether it is abhyasa or it is vairagya, how do you know that we are going forward? By your attraction towards the goal. आपकी जो लक्ष्य की प्रति जो लगन है, आकर्षण है, आपको जितना खींचता है. See, a person, supposing there is evening Sandhya Arati. That is, some people feel so ecstatic about Arati. And if you are like that, even the best of movie in Sandhya will not attract you. अरे से अरे भाई दूसरा नहीं आएगा 50 साल की बेटी आए मूवी देख लूँ कल संध्या आरती जाऊँगा. So, yes, more you are very powerfully drawn towards the goal. That means, and it will happen also that way. Thank you.